想看车，车型配置晕头转向；想选车，各有说辞一头雾水；想买车，价格黑洞摸不到头脑。
还好有懂车帝 APP， 懂车帝 APP 全能解决车的问题。看车、选车、买车，就上懂车帝 APP。
懂车帝。
Champions are born out of the fire.
想看车，车型配置晕头转向；想选车，各有说辞一头雾水；想买车，价格黑洞摸不到头脑。
还好有懂车帝 APP。懂车帝 APP 全能解决车的问题。看车、选车、买车，就上懂车帝 APP。
懂车帝。
各位观众朋友，大家早上好，欢迎来到2019年 China GT 中国超级跑车锦标赛宁波站的比赛现场。那么现在为大家带来的呢是 GT4 组别第4回合的决赛。那么在昨天的比赛中呢，也是一波三折呀，精彩连连。最后呢是由12号车组的 Will Bamber 和廖阳以第1的身份带回。那么这2位车手呢，也是今天会从第9位发车，这也是根据周4第2回合排位赛的成绩而决定的。那么大家可以看到，在我身后，今天从杆位发车的呢，是来自86号车组的林康和卢思豪。那么等一下呢，我们也会和今天从发第1棒的林康做一个简单的采访。Hello and welcome to the 2019 China GT Championship for the Ningbo race weekend. We're here for round 4 of the GT4 race. So yesterday's race was an incident-strewn race with lots of safety cars and position changing. And in the end, it was Will Bamber and Peter Liao who took the checkered flag for D2 racing. They'll be starting from P9 today according to Thursday's second qualifying results. And starting from pole position today, as you can see, is lining up behind me, again from the number 86 of Lin Kang and Lo Tae-ho. So now, let's have a quick word with Lin Kang, who will be starting from pole today. 好，那我现在我身边的呢，就是今天从杆位发车的林康。那么林康呢，昨天也是同样从杆位发车，最后是以第2的身份带回。但昨天也说到，从这条在 KTM 的赛车的话，在直道上也许优势并没有那么明显，所以今天的话有什么战术能够保持自己的领先的位置呢？
昨天我队友的起步不是很好，然后希望今天我们的起步能比昨天好一些，因为其他车的马力比我们大很多，所以从发车线到1号弯，昨天我们丢了很多个位置啊，希望今天能比昨天好一些。
好的，谢谢林康，祝你好运。So Lin Kang just told us that yesterday his teammate Lo Tae-ho had a fantastic start, but because of the KTM is a little bit down on power, so that's why they are easy to get out-dragged by other cars who are quicker from behind. So hopefully today he will be able to make a good start and hopefully still leading in the position into Turn 1. 那么接下来呢，我们再和今天同样前排发车的 第2位的车手来自99号的 Team Mastercham 的王浩，然后做一个采访。那么王浩呢，昨天的话也是，这次也是第1次驾驶 GT 的赛车在宁波赛道上参加比赛。昨天呢是收获了一个颁奖台，今天又是从前排发车。今天的状态感觉，这个周末状态感觉是非常的好呀。
这个周末状态感觉挺好的，然后昨天的成绩我也是没有想到，反正一开始本身是组别的，然后今天排在第2位。还是有一些压力的，然后起步之后调整好自己心态，跑好自己，尽量拿一个好成绩。
好，谢谢王浩，然后祝你好运。So Wang Hao just told us that because this is the first time for him to drive a GT car on the Ningbo racetrack, so it was an unexpected result, a podium result yesterday, and today he feels like he's on top form, and hopefully he'll be able to keep up his position starting from the front row and get a good result today. 好的，那谢谢王浩。然后接下来的时间呢，我们观看一下昨天的精彩视频。So next up, let's take a look at the highlight videos from yesterday's GT4 race. 那么现在站在我们身边的呢，是今天第4位发车的，来自 Winning Team 的570号的董亮。那么董亮呢，在这个周末，我觉得这迈凯伦的赛车在宁波赛道上的优势，以往的优势其实还并没有完全发挥出来，是吧？
对的，所以现在的圈速啊和我们想象的是完全不一样的。我们的代言人来了，韩 Sir 来了，主人来了，来。终于来了！你客串的车手。
好，现在我们客串的呢是韩寒，然后韩寒的话也是这个周末虽然不会去驾驶我们的赛车，但是非常开心能够看到您在我们 China GT 的赛场上出现，然后跟我们的观众讲2句吧，这么多粉丝看着。
观众朋友们，大家好，我是韩寒，然后特别高兴可以来到 China GT。那这一站呢，因为我自己的工作排位什么也没有赶上，但我们车队本身也有非常优秀的车手，然后现在也有很好的排位，一会儿就看他们的表现。那我自己争取下一站，然后代表这个迈凯伦胜之队给大家来比赛。谢谢，要祝大家青年节快乐！今天。
好，谢谢韩寒。 那么董亮的话，我们再继续给我们重大的粉丝代表我们迈凯伦车队再说2句吧。
好，那希望大家继续给我们加油，争取我们也能够以更好的一个成绩来回报大家对我们的关注，谢谢。
So just now, as you can see, it was standing up behind me, next to me, was the legendary rally driver and touring car driver, as well as best-selling author Han Han, and he's here to support the winning team. And let's hope for, wish them best of luck, and also to our drivers Dong Liang and the 3 McLaren cars on the grid today. 好的，那接下来的时间呢，我们转回到我们的解说间 ，Back to you guys.
Thank you, Andrea. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Ningbo for round 4 of the 2019 China GT Championship. Some GT4 action for you this morning around this Ningbo International Circuit. 4.01 kilometers and 23 turns, a very technical challenge indeed. You can see there on your screen to the right-hand side of the track, or at the back of the track now, that's a very difficult, tight, twisty section. 23 turns, there it is, you can see on the overlay, and plenty of action down at turn 2. Lots of overtaking opportunities there. Very tight, twisty section. Some more overtaking opportunities into turn 6 there before turn 7, 8, 9, and then a short blast down to the turn 10 hairpin. Then another long straight, another 90-degree left-hander at turn 11, and now this back section of the track, very tight, very twisty, very technical, and lots of elevation change. 25 meters of elevation at this Ningbo International Circuit, and watch out for turn 18. The downhill right-hander, lots of incident there yesterday, lots of people spinning and getting caught out. Very difficult to negotiate that turn, lots of braking and turning right and going downhill, a real challenge for the drivers. Some interesting action in yesterday's race, as we heard on the grid there. The number 22 car of Will Bamber and Peter Liao taking victory in yesterday's GT4 race. After an incident-packed race, we had 2 different safety car periods. After the number 51 BMW of Oscar Lee and Yuan Hao, unfortunately for them, crashed on the start-finish straight after spinning to avoid the number 6 car of Sunny Wong, which had spun coming out of the final corner. An amazing start from the number 49 McLaren, driven by James Tsai and Charlie Fagg, up from 7th on the grid to lead into the first corner, but that car eventually did slip back. And then it was the 22 of Will Bamber and Peter Liao taking the spoils. There you see the car's mechanics and well-wishers still lining up on the grid. The white Mercedes with its indicators flashing, that's the safety car. That is the car that will take the cars around for 1 formation lap. Let's have a look at the grid now. In pole position, it's the 86 KTM of Lin Kang and Lo Taho. Lin Kang will be taking the first stint of this race. We heard from on the grid. That car finished 2nd yesterday, so now has 35 kilograms of success ballast. And as we heard, they're already a bit down on power, so it might be a challenge for them today. 2nd place, the 999 BMW of Wang Hao. Finished 3rd yesterday, so he will take 25 kilograms of success ballast. So another challenge today for Wang Hao. In 3rd position on the grid, that is the number 3 Mercedes, driven by Yan Chuang, and 1st Yang Shi, who will be taking the first stint of this race before handing over to his teammate. That car 3rd on the grid today. In 4th place is this man, Dong Liang, in the 570 McLaren winning team car. Dong Liang, the sole driver of that car, so he'll be pulling a double shift on this lovely day in Ningbo. Bright sunshine. It usually rains quite a bit in this part of the world, but no danger of any rain so far this weekend. Bright sunshine here, and you can see there everybody enjoying themselves on the grid. 5th on the grid is the 87 KTM, driven by Wei Tianyi, and 1st Liu Kai, who you see in the cockpit there with his open face helmet. Very strikingly designed car with that gull wing windscreen. No doors on that car. In 6th place, it's the 618 Aston Martin, driven by Yves Volt, and 1st David Pun, the Chinese driver taking the first stint today. Next up, in 7th place, we have the number 6 AMG Mercedes, driven by Sunny Wong, who will start the race. He had an unfortunate spin towards the end of yesterday's race that precipitated the crash that brought out the safety car. He'll hand over to Rainy He later on in the race. In 8th place is the other Mercedes, the number 5 car, driven by Chris Chia, who is the team boss as well. He'll take the first stint and hand over to Alex Fontana, the Swiss professional driver. In 9th place on the grid, and yesterday's winners are Will Bamber and Peter Liao. Peter Liao taking the first stint. There you see him all strapped in and ready to go. He'll hand over to Will Bamber for the second portion of this race. That car having 50 kilograms of success ballast because of its win yesterday. And now everybody, just about everybody off the grid now. And the cars lining up, ready for the start of the formation lap. 1 lap around this Ningbo International Speed Park, led by the safety car. You'll see the cars weaving from side to side, desperately trying to get some temperature into those tyres and brakes, and a chance for the drivers to focus on what they want to do, what they need to do when the race starts. When the lights go green and they go racing, they have 1 lap just to make sure everything is as it should be in the car, make sure everything is set up just to their liking. Nice to see lots of people in the grandstands today. It's a lovely day here in Ningbo, and lots of people there you can see hoping for a good day's racing. As exciting a day as we had yesterday. Certainly plenty of incident in the GT4 race, and indeed in the afternoon's GT3, GTC and One Make Porsche Trophy race. We've got round 4 of that coming up later on today. Meanwhile, this morning it's GT4 action, and you see the Mercedes safety car pulling away with its indicators on. The cars will form up behind that safety car, which will lead them around 1 lap of this Ningbo International Circuit. And while they're going at this reduced speed, it's a good opportunity to have a look at some of the unique features there. You can see the runoff area at turn 2 and turn 3. We've seen lots of drivers taking advantage of that, sometimes going in 3, 4, even 5 cars abreast into the first left-hander there, using all of the escape road and a little bit more, and that's perfectly all right. Nobody penalised for doing that by the stewards or by the race officials. It's perfectly okay to use that runoff that you see there past the curbing on the left-hand side, as the Mercedes safety car negotiating turn 5, 6, 7, 8, that long right-hander, and there we see the first car, the 86 car driven by Ling Kang, coming through. And a look at the championship standings now after yesterday's victory. Will Bamber and Liao Yang, or Peter Liao as he's also known, now at the head of the standings. Alex Fontana and Chris Chia in 2nd place. Rainy He, or He Xiaole as he's also known, and Sunny Wong in 3rd place. And those 3 cars, a little bit of a gap to the rest of the field. You can see there in joint 7th place, Ling Kang and Lo Tse-ho, and also Yves Volk, the German driver, another pro driver. Now he's driving the 618 Aston Martin, and he'll be taking over from David Pun, who is 6th on the grid and hoping for a good performance. Always very interesting to see the different tactics employed by the Pro-Am teams. These teams allowed to have 1 pro driver in their ranks and then 1 amateur driver. They have a mandatory pit stop that they have to take from 25 minutes to 35 minutes into the race, a 10-minute pit window. And what we often see when you have the pro driver going first is the pro driver will go very long into that pit window, close to the 35-minute mark, to give themselves as much time in the car as possible before they hand over to the amateur driver. Because you would expect the pro drivers, you know, the drivers that do this for a living, you would expect them to be faster than the amateur drivers who are doing this more in their spare time, more as a hobby. By contrast, if we have the amateur drivers going first, they usually come into the pits very early into the pit window, just after the 25-minute mark, to allow the professional drivers to take over for the lion's share of the contest. And it's very interesting to see the tactics employed there, which teams use their pro drivers first, and which teams elect to use the pro drivers second for a quick blast to the finish. And the difference in tactics there usually produces some very good racing indeed. But the cars now slowing down, the safety car pulling into the pit lane, and the cars will form up 2 by 2. It's a rolling start here. They're just coming through the last corners now, turn 20 and turn 21. Coming through the last corner and onto the start-finish straight now. You see the red lights at the start, and they will go green, and we're racing here in Ningbo. Lo Tse-ho and Lin Kang on the right-hand side, and the BMW of Wang Tao on the left-hand side, and it looks like Wang Tao has just got in ahead, has he? No, Lin Kang holds that position, so Lin Kang still in the lead, Wang Tao still holding second place, Yang Shi still in third place. So the first three cars holding position. One of the Aston Martins just going a little bit wide, kicking up a bit of dust and a lot of traffic at the back there. One of the McLarens, that's Dong Liang, just going a little bit wide there, but as they come through the turn 5, it's still Lin Kang in the lead. Wang Tao in second place, and that is Yang Shi being overtaken, is he, by Dong Liang? Yes, Dong Liang in the 570 McLaren, but now he's on the outside, and the Mercedes back up into third position. But already the KTM of Lin Kang pulling out a little bit of a lead over Wang Hao in second place, and they're going very tight. Lots of cars going in there. The number 3 Mercedes up into third place. Dong Liang back down to fourth, and the number 49 McLaren, the green car, up into fifth place. That's Charlie Fagg, the British professional driver in that car, as Dong Liang goes up into third place. And is Charlie Fagg going to have a look? Yes, he is. So Charlie Fagg in the 49 McLaren up into fourth position. And Yang Shi in the number 3 Mercedes crowded out and down to fifth place. In sixth place there you see the 55 Ginetta, that's Senan Fielding, another professional driver, up from very low on the grid, and he's overtaken the number 3 Mercedes as well. So Senan Fielding already well up into fifth place from 14th on the grid, and the Mercedes going a little wide there. It looks as if he might have lost another position. Yes, the Aston Martin, I think that is the 618. We didn't quite see that, but the number 3 Mercedes down into sixth position. But as they come through this tricky right-hander, it's still Lin Kang in the lead, pulling out quite a bit of a lead now. Lin Kang, another professional driver, so we might expect him to pull out a bit of a lead. That is the number 6 Mercedes, driven by Sonny Wong, we're looking at now, and you can see there Senan Fielding looking very lively indeed behind Dong Liang now, who is down into fourth place because Charlie Fagg, the professional driver, moving up into third, and contact there, the number 22 car hitting the back of the other KTM, and a little bit of a lock-up there, a bit of tyre smoke, and a bit of damage there on the number 22. You can see the front bumper, that car carrying the legacy of a bit of a scrape there with the second KTM, the number 87 car, driven by Liu Kai, the yellow car there. Doesn't look as if any serious damage has been caused. Both cars managing to carry on, but a bit of battle scars there, and the 87 KTM very slow round that corner. They go 3 abreast, and a little bit of smoke. I wonder if there's a bit of vibration there. I wonder if some of the bodywork is rubbing on the right rear tyre of that 87 KTM. But he seems to still be going at something approaching racing speed, being overtaken there by the 868 McLaren. So the 87 car, driven by Liu Kai, losing another position there. The number 6 Mercedes there, and the 22 Mercedes going up the inside. So the 22 car being driven by Liao Yang, showing no major ill effects there, but the 3 of them going side by side, and I think the KTM, yes, taking the escape, or the Mercedes, excuse me, the number 6 car driven by Sonny Wong, taking the escape road there. Plenty of action in these opening stages, but the 87 KTM still circulating there. Meanwhile, the other KTM, the 86 car driven by Lin Kang, still sitting pretty at the front, and Charlie Fagg now up into second place, ahead of Wang Hao, who's down into third, and Senan Fielding it is in third place. So Senan Fielding well up into third place, and it looks as if he got good drive coming out of the last corner. I wonder if he'll go for a move up the inside as they come through turn 2. The 2 British drivers there going at it hammer and tongs. This is the battle for second position as they go through the left-hander. This is turn 2, taking the curbs before the other left-hander at turn 3. Charlie Fagg still in second place. Senan Fielding climbing all over the back of him in third place in the Ginetta, the number 55 car there. Wang Hao down into fourth position in the 999 BMW. Dong Liang in the 570 McLaren in fifth position. Charlie Fagg still holding off Senan Fielding, who's climbing all over the back of his fellow countrymen. The 2 British drivers there battling away hard for second place. There you see Lin Kang going through your picture there in first position. Senan Fielding going this way and that, trying to distract Charlie Fagg, making Charlie Fagg's mirrors full of that white and purple and blue Ginetta, weaving this way and that, trying to find a bit of room. But Charlie Fagg, unmoved, unbowed, still in second place. Senan Fielding still in third position. Wang Hao still in 4th, and Dong Liang in 5th position. In 6th place, still David Pun, and that's a good position for that 618 Aston Martin to be in. David Pun is the amateur driver in that pairing, and he'll hand over to Yves Volt, the German professional driver, for the second portion of the race. So David Pun is in quite a good position at the moment, I would say, already staying in 6th place, holding his own among some of these professional drivers. We have the top 3 all professional drivers at the moment. Lin Kang in 1st place, Charlie Fagg in 2nd, Senan Fielding right up the McLaren's bumper and looking to the outside there. Very difficult to pass as they come through this tight, twisty section to start another lap, to start lap 4 of this 1-hour race. Lin Kang just set the fastest lap of the race at 1:51.8. Charlie Fagg still in 2nd place, Senan Fielding no way through yet in 3rd position. As they come through turn 2, and now the other 90-degree left-hander at turn 3. 6 minutes gone, just under 54 minutes still to go, and a lot of good action and good racing in the first portion of this race. Very close racing, that's what we like to see in GT racing. Lots of bumper-to-bumper action, literally in some cases, but thankfully no major lasting damage done. Looks as if all the cars still running. Charlie Fagg still in 2nd, Senan Fielding still in 3rd, going around the outside, is he? But very difficult to overtake around the outside of that tight left-hander there. Senan Fielding still behind Charlie Fagg. It looks as if Fielding is the quicker driver at this stage of the race, but he just can't find a way through. Charlie Fagg, an experienced driver in his own right. Both of these drivers having competed in GT championships in Britain as they hop over these curbs very high here at Ningbo. And let's have another look at the start. A very good getaway from Lin Kang from pole position there. Wang Hao still holding 2nd place. And Charlie Fagg on the right-hand side. Just look to the right-hand side of your picture. You see that green car. Now, that car in the hands of Charlie Fagg's teammate James Tsai made an absolutely demon start in yesterday's race, rocketing up from 7th on the grid to lead by the first corner. And Charlie Fagg, who started 10th on the grid, you can see already making up some good places, already 7th going through that left-hander at turn 3, or 6th rather, as they go through the left-hander at turn 3. So Charlie Fagg making up 4 places as a lot of argy-bargy in the mid portion of the pack. And this is another replay of the number 49 car, Charlie Fagg, going past the number 3 Mercedes driven by Yang Shi and going again past Dong Liang. So Charlie Fagg making up some good places in the early portion of this race. And here we see that's the number 868 McLaren going up the inside of the 87 KTM. That KTM, I think, had already suffered a bit of damage, and Senan Fielding has got past Charlie Fagg. So Senan Fielding up into 2nd place in the 55 Ginetta, Charlie Fagg down to 3rd. Now hopefully we'll see a replay of that, because Senan Fielding was climbing all over the back of Charlie Fagg for several laps. And yes, it looks as if he's already got a bit of daylight. So Senan Fielding really putting the hammer down now. He'll want to eke out as much of an advantage in this early portion of the race as he possibly can before he hands over to his gentleman driver Kenny Chung as the 618 Aston Martin. That is David Pun going around the outside, is he, of Dong Liang? No, very hard to overtake around the outside of a very twisty left-hander there. Dong Liang still holding on to 5th place, David Pun in 6th, and the number 5 Mercedes of Chris Chia in very close attendance in 7th place. Chris Chia, the team boss of that team there, still in 7th place, and he'll be handing over to Alex Fontana, the Swiss professional driver, for the second portion of this race. David Pun in 6th place there. A lot of curb hopping there. Chris Chia still in 7th place, looking up front, trying to get past David Pun, and all the while trying to keep the other McLaren, the 868 McLaren, being driven by Luo Kai Luo at the moment, trying to keep him behind as they go through that very twisty downhill right-hander. We saw lots of cars come a cropper there yesterday, losing control and spinning out as the McLaren looking up the inside, but not quite close enough there. Very difficult to pass around this tight section of the track. And here we see this is the battle for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th places. All of them still line astern as the 868 McLaren looks to go up the inside and takes, does he? Yes, you can see there the McLaren going up the inside as they go through. So the McLaren, the 868 car, up into 7th place. Chris Chia down to 8th, going bumper to bumper. But Chris Chia down to 8th place. It looked as if the McLaren just got better drive out of that last corner, and so often here at Ningbo, that is the key to a successful overtake as the BMW runs a bit wide, hops over those curbs, and I wonder if he's lost a bit of momentum there. That looked like Wang Hao, the 999 BMW, just losing control, going a little wide there, but he's still in 4th place. But you can see now how much closer Dongliang in the 570 car is to the 618 Aston Martin of David Pun, having a little look up the inside, but again, not close enough to make a move. This is a very tight, twisty, technical track here at Ningbo, and very often the best chance of an overtake is just simply making sure that you have a better exit out of the tight, twisty corners onto the long straights, so that you can then blast past your opponent, especially if they've gone defensive coming out of the corner to try to keep you behind. And that looked like that's what happened with Chris Chia. It looked like the 868, McLaren just got better drive out of that last corner, went to the inside and had enough to blast past Chris Chia. And that car now into 7th place and challenging David Pun in 6th place in the Aston Martin there, who's just behind that white McLaren of Dongliang, still in 5th place. As they hop over the curbs, you can see the splitters at the front of those cars touching the ground there. A very difficult corner to negotiate. You can see the cars bottoming out a bit, and of course when the bottom of those cars touches the tarmac, it means that the tires are not in contact, or not in as much contact with the tarmac as they are on nice straight stretches of the road that you see Lin Kang on now, and that means that it's very difficult to turn, very difficult to brake, and we've seen a few drivers come a cropper there at the tricky turn 8 downhill right-hander. There you see Senan Fielding in the 55 Ginetta, still in 2nd place, still ahead of Charlie Fagg, but Charlie Fagg holding on to Senan Fielding, just 1.5 seconds behind, so Senan Fielding not pulling away as quickly as we might have expected. After he got past Charlie Fagg, he did pull away initially, but the other British driver still keeping in fairly close attendance, keeping Senan Fielding honest. Behind them, there you see in 4th place the 999 car of Dongliang, some 7.5 seconds adrift of Charlie Fagg now, so the first 3 pulling away. Lin Kang in the lead, nearly 8 seconds ahead of Senan Fielding now, and setting very similar lap times, a 1:52.0 the last time around for Lin Kang, and also 1:52.0 for Senan Fielding, so setting almost identical lap times last time around. Charlie Fagg a 1:52.3, so the front 3 setting a very searing pace at the front of the field. By contrast, Wang Hao in 4th place, a 1:55.1, so some 3 seconds slower. And obviously we saw him running a little wide and hopping over those curbs on that last lap as well. But it looks as if Wang Hao's settling back into some sort of rhythm. He's got a bit of a gap to Dongliang in 5th place, who leads a gaggle of cars there, all 4 of them battling for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th places as they go down that tricky turn 18. Dongliang kicking up a bit of dust on the exit there. And the 618 Aston Martin of David Pun in very close attendance. Look how close these cars are, a quarter of the race gone. And these cars practically bumper to bumper as they come over the line to begin lap 8. And Lin Kang really putting the hammer down now. Fastest lap of the race, 1:51.3, compared with 1:51.8 as the 868 McLaren going up the inside of David Pun. Yes, a good move there from the McLaren. David Pun going a little wide and losing out also to Chris Chia. So David Pun losing 2 places there as they come through turn 2 and turn 3 for the 8th time. Chris Chia there in the number 5 Mercedes up into 7th place. David Pun looking up the inside, not quite close enough as they go through the left-hander at turn 5. A good overtaking spot there, but then going up the inside of turn 5, you're then compromised for the next corner because the turn 6, 7, 8 complex is a long triple apex right-hander, and that is the other Aston Martin, the 619 Aston Martin. It looks like some sort of mechanical gremlin. That car, driven by Zhang Fangshuan, stopped on the circuit, and the safety car is out. So the safety car is out, and the cars will bunch up and come behind the safety car, and that is bad news for those cars who have the professional drivers in. So the top 3, this is bad news for them, because the safety car, there you see the safety car waiting on track, waiting to pick up the leader, and that is Lin Kang. And this is good news for those driver pairings who have the amateur driver first and the professional driver second, because this will now neutralize the race. The cars will line up behind the safety car just as you saw them on the formation lap. And so this will wipe out the big lead that the top 3 cars have over the rest. You see the safety car board and the yellow flags there telling the drivers to slow down and to expect the safety car. And of course this changes the tactics and the outlook for the rest of the race considerably. There you look in the McLaren garage and a lot of concerned faces looking at the screen there. And well, that car, that 619 Aston Martin, clearly going nowhere. You can see the car there ready to tow it away, and hopefully we'll be underway racing again before too long. There you see the leaders lining up behind the safety car going at this reduced pace. Lin Kang still in first place, Senan Fielding in second, Charlie Fag in third, Wang Hao still in fourth place, Dong Liang in fifth, the 868 McLaren of Luo Kailuo having just moved up past Chris Chia into sixth place. And of course, there's no overtaking allowed under the safety car. They have to line up in their positions. So a good move there from Luo Kailuo, passing Chris Chia just before the safety car. So he's now firmly ensconced in that sixth place. Bad news for David Pun, who was sixth until just a few moments ago, now down into eighth place after running wide at turn 2 and being overtaken by Luo Kailuo and Chris Chia. You see the cars again moving around while they're going at this reduced pace. They lose temperature in their tires and in their brakes, so very important to keep as much temperature as they can, because when you suddenly go again at racing speed on cold tires and cold brakes, you run the risk of losing out, of running wide, of locking your brakes, and then that being the end of the race. We saw the Aston Martin just being towed away in the background there, so hopefully we'll be underway before too long. The car's just approaching the hairpin at turn 15 at the moment. No indication that the safety car's coming in just yet. You see the lights still flashing on the safety car. A little bit of debris on the outside of that turn. I wonder if the marshals might think about maybe going onto the track to remove that. But the safety car light's off now, and it's returning to the pits this lap. There you see the lights are off. The safety car will return into the pits, and we will go racing again. Now the pack is nice and bunched up again, and I wonder if we'll see some opportunistic overtaking moves here. The front 3 now very close together. Lin Kang just establishing a little bit of a lead there. Senan Fielding dropping back. I wonder if that's a good move. But as they go through the final corner, we're racing again. Lin Kang coming over the line to start lap 10 here at Ningbo. Green flags are waving, you see on the right-hand side there, and Lin Kang in the lead. Senan Fielding in second place and challenging up the inside of Lin Kang. We heard about how the KTM is losing out on top-end speed, and Senan Fielding goes through. Does he? Oh, very tight. They both go wide, and Senan Fielding has just held it. So Senan Fielding up into the lead now. We heard on the grid about how the KTM Crossbow losing out a little bit on top-end speed, and perhaps it was suffering a little bit there. And Charlie Fag having a look around the outside now, not close enough for a move just yet. So Charlie Fag still in third place. Senan Fielding now into the lead, and maybe that safety car period working out well for Senan Fielding now. He's got the lead. He's got a nice clear track ahead of him, and he'll want to put the hammer down now. We're about 41 minutes to go in this race. The pit window will open in about 6 minutes' time, and I should think Senan Fielding will be going quite long into that pit window, not pitting until around about just before 35 minutes into the race, so just before the end of the pit window. Charlie Fag looking around the outside of the KTM. Wang Hao there still in fourth place, and the 868 McLaren of Luo Kailuo in fifth position. Senan Fielding kicking up dust. Those curbs, a lot of curb hopping going on there. Those curbs, you can see how much the cars are jumping. These curbs are very, very high, and the number 5 car of Alex Fontana suffered a bit of a puncture or suspected puncture yesterday, which perhaps may have been as a result of riding up on those curbs a little bit too much. But as they come through the tight right-hander at turn 18, still Senan Fielding in the lead. Lin Kang in second place. Charlie Fag in third place. A little bit of a gap developing. Wang Hao, excuse me, in fourth place, and being challenged, is he, by the 868 McLaren, who had a little look there, but very difficult to pass in the final section of the corner. But as they come onto the start-finish straight to start lap 10, I wonder if the McLaren of Luo Kailuo going to have a little look here, not quite close enough, or is he? Wang Hao going to the outside and the McLaren going up the inside. So up into 4th place is the McLaren of Luo Kailuo, the 868 car. Wang Tao in the 999 BMW down into 5th position. The front three still in the same formation, still very close, just 0.4 of a second between Senan Fielding and Lin Kang. So Lin Kang still keeping Senan Fielding honest, despite having lost his lead to the British driver after the safety car restart. There you see Senan Fielding in 1st place, Lin Kang in 2nd place, looking around the outside. This KTM, not so quick on the straights. We saw it losing out to Senan Fielding's Ginetta on the straight after the restart, but very quick in the corners, and that's where it's picking up most of the time, as the 618 Aston Martin of David Pun making up a position, going past Chris Chia into 7th place. So David Pun gaining a measure of revenge on Chris Chia from having lost position a few laps ago, just before the safety car restart. So David Pun up into 7th place. And that 618 Aston Martin might come into play later in the race when David Pun hands over to his professional co-driver Yves Volt. If David Pun can just keep close to the cars in front of him, his teammate Yves Volt may be in with a good chance of making up some good places later in the race. And this safety car period may have played very nicely into the hands of the 618 Aston Martin and indeed of the number 5 Mercedes, because Alex Fontana, the Swiss professional driver, is going to take the second portion of the race, and the KTM of Lin Kang clearly working very well in this portion of the race, challenging Senan Fielding as they go through the tight, twisty section, but maybe losing out here on the straight. Yes, you can see Senan Fielding's Ginetta just pulling out, clearly having a little more grunt, a little more top-end speed and pulling away on the straight. Lin Kang still in 2nd place, and it's very interesting to see the different characteristics of these cars. Lots of different manufacturers being represented here in the GT4 category. Mercedes, BMW, Ginetta, KTM, Aston Martin, McLaren, all being represented here in GT4, and all with different characteristics. And it's very interesting to see. You can see the KTM getting closer as they go through the tight, twisty section of the track, and then the Ginetta just pulling away. Look how close the KTM gets going through these corners. Clearly much faster through the corners, but then as they come onto the straight here, watch, I think the car, and that is the number 3 Mercedes of Yang Shi coming in, and that is an unscheduled pit stop because the pit window's not open yet. You can see the clock at the top of your picture, 37 minutes to go. The pit window won't open until the 35-minute mark, until 35 minutes to go in the race. So that is an unscheduled pit stop for the number 3 car. That will have to come in again, and that's disappointing for the number 3 Mercedes. But as they come through, I was just saying before we went to the Mercedes there, I was just saying how much the KTM gets close to the Ginetta in these tight corners as they go through this very tricky downhill turn 18. You see the brake lights on Senan Fielding's car as he goes through, and the KTM gets very, very close, but watch on the straight just how much the Ginetta powers away as they come onto the start-finish straight. We saw the KTM getting very close in the previous lap, but as they come through to start lap 13, just watch how much the Ginetta pulls away as they approach turn 2, the left-hander. But the KTM a little bit closer this time, but again, not quite close enough. And I should think that's enough to see Senan Fielding ahead of the KTM for the rest of this stint, because a lot of the overtakes that we've seen so far in this race have been down into heavy braking into that turn 2, and the KTM just can't seem to get close enough as they come through that complex. Charlie Fagg in the number 49 McLaren still maintaining a watching brief, still just a couple of seconds behind. The KTM going up the inside. Is he? No, not quite close enough. Very difficult to pass in that section of the track, and another little long straight now, and the Ginetta should have just enough there. Senan Fielding going a little bit defensive there, covering the inside a little bit. You could see the KTM going to the outside. Senan Fielding using all of the road and kicking up a bit of dust as they come through. The pit window about to open now, and I should think we'll see the first few pit stops towards the end of this lap. Senan Fielding in the 55, Ginetta still in the lead. Lin Kang, the 86 KTM, still in 2nd position. That car, of course, with 35 kilograms of success ballast after coming 2nd in yesterday's race. There is the 868 McLaren, and the KTM getting very close again as they go through the back section of this track, but very difficult to pass, especially around the outside of a twisty left-hander like that. Here they go down into the twisty right-hander, the downhill, very difficult, turn 18. Lots of cars having difficulty with that yesterday. Very difficult to get that corner right as they come through the final corner again. And again, the KTM very close, but not quite close enough, I don't think. No, Senan Fielding just pulling away. And the pit window is now open. I should think we'll start to see some of the cars coming in, perhaps at the end of this lap. Senan Fielding still out, and I should think Senan Fielding will stay out for the next few corners. That is the number 5 car of Chris Cheer. And of course, he's the amateur driver in that pairing. He's handing over to the pro driver, Alex Fontana. So he's coming in at the earliest possible opportunity, with 25 minutes of the race having elapsed, and with 35 or 34 minutes of the race to go. There is Alex Fontana, the Swiss professional driver, and that is the Aston Martin. That is Yves Volt coming in, or his co-driver David Punt in the 618 coming in, and again Yves Volt, another one of the professional drivers, as that 618 car comes in at the earliest possible opportunity to give Yves Volt the longest possible stint in the car, as does Liao Yang, the young driver there, and that car won yesterday's race. He hands over to his professional driver, Will Bamber, in the number 22 car. That car we haven't seen much of in the race so far, but I should think Will Bamber, the New Zealand professional driver, will come through the field now, as Senan Fielding still in the lead. Lin Kang still in second position. We've been focusing on these two for the last few laps, and we haven't had a look at what's going on further down the field. But we should start to see the likes of Alex Fontana, Yves Volt and Will Bamber coming through and overtaking some of the amateur drivers, I should think, in the second portion of this race, as Senan Fielding and Lin Kang come again down the tricky right-hander at turn 18. Lin Kang looking for a way around the outside, but very difficult to overtake there, but he's got him, Lin Kang, as they go through the final corner there. Lin Kang took the outside line for one corner and then the inside for the next, but you can see him going defensive already because he knows that Senan Fielding is going to be faster on the straight, and I wonder if Senan Fielding there, as they go side by side, but Lin Kang has the inside line for that turn 2. And interesting to see, you could see how early in the straight Lin Kang was going defensive, because he knew that he didn't have the top speed to stop Senan Fielding from dragging him on the straight. Senan Fielding again looking to go around the outside. Lin Kang again going defensive. Tremendous racing between these first two drivers here, and that is the 999 car of Wang Hao. Wang Hao with no teammate. He's doing the whole race himself, so he'll stay in his pit box for the allotted time. It's 62 seconds that he has to stop for. Each of these cars has a mandatory pit stop time that they have to stop for, and that time is dictated by the driver grading for the driver pairings. The driver pairings with the pro drivers have to stop on their marks for longer, as Senan Fielding looking this way and that for a way past Lin Kang. The Ginetta clearly faster on the straight, but Lin Kang faster through the corners. And Charlie Fagg now getting very close to the back of those two. When you have two cars squabbling over position like that, they do tend to lose time, and then a car coming from behind can close up on the back. So the battle for the lead is now a 3-car battle, with Charlie Fagg joining the fray as Wang Tao comes out still in 5th position. It's a bit difficult to tell exactly where everybody is during the pit window because people come in at different times. But after everybody's taken their pit stops, we should have a much clearer idea of exactly where everybody is on the track. Lin Kang going very wide as they go around the last corner there, but it looks as if he's got more of a lead this time round. Senan Fielding not quite so close by. Lin Kang not going defensive into the left-hander as the 868 McLaren of Luo Kai Luo comes in for his pit stop, and he'll hand over to his teammate Lei Ke. The gull-wing doors on that McLaren going up, and just the mechanics there just opening the bonnet, just maybe checking the water temperature, oil temperatures perhaps, and just giving the windscreen a bit of a clean. Clearly no major problems there. The bonnet down again, and Luo Kai Luo just helping Lei Ke strap himself in. Very difficult to strap yourself in and get ready in the very short amount of time, just over 1 minute they are. That car stationary for 71 seconds. And that is another one of the Mercedes. That is Sonny Wong's car, and he is handing over to his teammate Rainey Hurt, the number 6 Mercedes. That car on its marks for 77 seconds, and it must be absolute agony sitting stationary in the pit lane for that length of time when you hear all the other cars whizzing by. That car still on its marks, the number 6 Mercedes. We saw a few cars yesterday suffering penalties for not observing the pit process correctly, for not staying long enough on their marks. So it's very important that they have to stay for the allotted time, otherwise they'll have to take a 60-second penalty, and that can really ruin the race. Meanwhile, at the front three still in the same formation. Lin Kang still pulling out a little bit of a gap now. 1 second over Senan Fielding at the last count, who is in turn just over 1 second ahead of Charlie Fagg in third place. And that car, the 86 car of Lin Kang, coming into the pits now for his first and only pit stop of the race. With half the race gone, 29 minutes still to go. I wondered if we might see Lin Kang going a little bit further into the race. He is, after all, the professional driver in that partnership at Lo Tse-ho, an amateur driver, but still a very experienced driver in his own right. The Hong Kong driver will be taking over for the second portion of the race. There he is, hopping into the car. You see the roll cage in there, and that's to help protect the driver and also to help give the car a bit of extra stability going through the corners. And a bit of a tyre change there going on at, and that is one of the McLarens. That is the 49 car, so Charlie Fagg coming in and handing over to James Tsai. Charlie Fagg, the pro driver, handing over to gentleman driver James Tsai, and his team clearly seeing fit to just change the rear tyres there. It didn't look like they were changing the front tyres, so that McLaren rear-wheel drive, of course, perhaps churning up its tyres a little more than they would like. It's quite hot here at Ningbo, not as hot as we saw in Sepang for the first 2 rounds of the 2019 China GT Championship, but still very hot nonetheless. There you see the 86 car coming out of the pits, and Lo Tse-ho, the Hong Kong driver, will take over for the second portion of this race. Lo Tse-ho, an amateur driver, but very experienced in his own right, and a very quick driver, comes out of the pit lane to start the second stint in that 86 KTM, going through the second and third corners there, going a little gingerly, just in the first portion of the race, or the first portion of his stint of the race. Still 2.5 minutes to go till the end of the pit window, and that is the 49 car, now being driven by James Tsai, the Chinese gentleman driver. And one of the Mercedes coming into the pits, can't quite see which one that is, it's the number 3. So that is Yang Shi, handing over to his teammate Yan Chuang. With just 2 minutes to go now, and some on-track battles there. That is the number 5 Mercedes, and Alex Fontana, the Swiss driver, the professional driver, who had an unfortunate moment yesterday. He was leading in the first stint. He was driving the first stint of yesterday's race, and then had what looked like a puncture, which dropped him down the order. That car eventually salvaging 5th place by the end of yesterday's race, but disappointing for that number 5 car. It could have been so much more. Alex Fontana clearly disappointed and looking to make up for lost time, overtaking the 999 BMW of Wang Hao. As we look at the 55 car, that is Senan Fielding, still leading the race, not stopped yet, but I should think might stop at the end of this lap here. 26 minutes to go, just over 1 minute till the end of the pit window, so Senan Fielding, I should think, will come in at the end of this lap. And he'll want to get as much of a lead as he can before he hands over to his teammate Kenny Chung, the Hong Kong driver, the gentleman driver in that driver pairing. Senan Fielding just negotiating these turns now. He was, of course, in a battle with Lin Kang and Charlie Fagg. They've both made their pit stops, so Senan Fielding now really putting the hammer down with a bit of clear track, trying to get as much of a lead as possible for his teammate Kenny Chung to protect in the second portion of this race. And that is the 868 McLaren, just being followed now by the 49. Both of those cars having made their pit stops. The 868 car now being driven by Lei Ke, and the 49 McLaren by James Tsai, and Senan Fielding into the pits. So just before the end of the pit window, Senan Fielding coming in giving himself the longest stint he possibly can. He comes in, hops out of his car, and into the car now goes Kenny Chung, the Hong Kong driver. And he'll want to continue the good work that Senan Fielding made, leading the race from 14th on the grid. And that car stationary for 73 seconds. That is one of the longer allotted pit stop times. Senan Fielding, a very experienced Ginetta driver, having driven in GT racing in the UK as the 49 McLaren and the 868 McLaren, having their own private battle there. The 868 car ahead of the 49 car. Again, we'll have to wait and see exactly where everybody is. The timing screen's a little bit skew-whiff at the moment because everybody's coming in to the pits at different times. But in a lap or so, we should have a much clearer picture of exactly where everybody is. And that is one of the Aston Martins going very slowly, and it looks like, as that car perhaps got a puncture, it looks like it's lilting to the left-hand side a little bit. We saw a bit of smoke. I wonder if that's a vibration. That I can't quite see the number. Is that the 618 Aston Martin being driven by Yves Volt, the German driver? Well, we can't quite see. We'll have another look. And there we see those two cars, the 87 KTM and the yellow Mercedes, the 22 car. Those two cars had a bit of a scrape earlier. The 22 now being driven by Will Bamber, the New Zealander, the professional driver, and the 87 car being driven by Wei Tianyi. And that is the number 5 Mercedes. Alex Fontana driving that car in 3rd position now. So Alex Fontana in a good position, I would think. A 1:51.1 his last lap, and that is Kenny Chung, the Hong Kong driver, still in the lead, but Kenny Chung, the amateur driver in that pairing, being caught by the 86 KTM of Lo Tse-ho, who is himself being caught by Alex Fontana in 3rd place in the number 5 Mercedes, the Swiss professional driver. And Kenny Chung and Lo Tse-ho, the two amateur drivers, Lo Tse-ho getting very close behind Kenny Chung and looking up the inside, is he, as they go through the left-hander? Yes, Lo Tse-ho into the lead now. So the 86 KTM back into the lead. Lo Tse-ho, the Hong Kong driver, taking the lead from fellow Hong Kong driver Kenny Chung with 22.5 minutes to go, and Alex Fontana still in 3rd place. That is the battle for 5th place between Will Bamber in the 22, who we just saw there. We're looking back now at Lo Tse-ho in the 86 KTM, coming through the last corner to start another lap, start lap 20 here. Oh, and Kenny Chung loses it and spins. Bitter disappointment for Kenny Chung, but it looks as if he's kept the engine howling, and Kenny Chung back into the race, but he's lost out now. Alex Fontana, the Swiss driver, up into 2nd position. So Kenny Chung, disappointing for the Hong Kong driver there, just spinning, losing control on the outside. We saw Sonny Wong doing that yesterday, and in fact that incident brought out the safety car because the 51 car of Oscar Lee and Yuan Hao Yao spun, avoiding Sonny Wong, hit the pit wall very heavily indeed, and unfortunately that 51 BMW not able to take the start today because it was quite badly damaged after hitting the pit wall. But Kenny Chung, it looks as if he's okay, still running in 3rd place. Will Bamber up into 4th place now, just going up the inside of Wang Hao. The 999 BMW there, down into 5th position. Will Bamber now with Kenny Chung very much in his sights, with just about 1/3 of the race to go. Will Bamber looking to the left-hand side. Is he going around the outside of Kenny Chung? Yes, he is. So Will Bamber up now into 3rd position. And off in hot pursuit of Alex Fontana in 2nd place. And Wang Hao going up the inside as well. So Kenny Chung down to 5th position after that unfortunate spin at the last corner. Wang Hao up into 4th place. Will Bamber hopping over those curbs. Wang Hao following through, and Kenny Chung in 5th place in the 55 Ginetta. 20 minutes, just over 20 minutes to go in this race. 1/3 of the race still to go. Lo Tse-ho at the front, lapping in 1:52.7, so still Lo Tse-ho setting competitive lap times. Alex Fontana behind him, a 1:51.1. So the Swiss driver taking just over a 1.5 seconds out of Lo Tse-ho on that last lap. Lo Tse-ho in the lead there in the front of your picture. Alex Fontana in second place there, catching him hand over fist. And a long gap now to Will Bamber in third position. Alex Fontana going very wide. A lot of those drivers using all of the runoff area there and a little bit more. And that's perfectly okay. The stewards not penalising that here at Ningbo this weekend. A lot of runoff area at the turn 2, turn 3, double 90-degree left-handers. And a lot of those drivers electing to go onto the escape road as we look at Alex Fontana going down the right-hander there. A little bit of a short squirt now as they brake hard down to the left-hander. Lotso still in the lead. Alex Fontana still catching him hand over fist. Lotso still in the lead. Alex Fontana still in second position. In third place, some 11 seconds behind, is Will Bamber, and this is the battle now. Yves Volt in the 618 Aston Martin going inside, or going out around the outside of Kenny Chung, is he? The German driver takes Kenny Chung. Oh, a little bit of wheel banging there, but Yves Volt has just held it. The German driver going up the inside of Kenny Chung. And the number 6 car going inside Kenny Chung as well. That is Rainy He, another of the professional drivers. So Kenny Chung losing out here. Yves Volt hopping over those curbs. Yves Volt 1 lap down in 12th position. We saw that car circulating very slowly early on in the race. So Yves Volt, unfortunately, out of contention for the serious positions, it would seem, here this afternoon, but still fighting hard, still racing as quickly as he can, trying to make up for lost time. You never know what might happen. We may have another incident, another safety car period, which might help to bunch the pack up. So, still worth pushing hard. Lotso still in the lead. Alex Fontana still in second place. Interesting to see the different lines that those two drivers take as they go through the turn 2, turn 3 complex. Lotso staying on the track. Alex Fontana electing to use the escape road towards the outside. Maybe feels that gives him a bit more of a slingshot as they go through turn 3. Lotso still holding position, a 1:52.6 on that last lap. Alex Fontana a 1:50.7, and that's the fastest lap of the race. And it looks as if he's got good drive coming out of that corner. Is he going around the outside of Lotso here? Lotso going to the inside, still holding the lead. And Lotso still lives to fight another day, but Alex Fontana right up the gearbox of the Hong Kong driver now, and surely he must get him, out dragging him as they go around the right-hander. No, Lotso still in the lead. So Alex Fontana still behind, still in second place. And let's go down to the pit lane now and hear from some of the drivers.
那在我身旁的呢是来自86号的 Extreme Motorsports 的林康，刚才也是杆位发车，然后其实发车的话起步也是非常的好，最后能够是拉开差不多8秒多的优势，但是很可惜安全车出来，这个优势一下子又没有了。
对，今天的起步还是做得不错的，然后我拉开了一些距离，但是有一个安全车，然后在安全车的 restart 的时候，因为后面的车马力比我大，然后没有办法挡住后面的车的进攻，然后浪费了很多圈才把它超回来，所以并没有在第一个 stint 拉开很多的差距，所以比较可惜吧。
思豪的圈速其实也是很不错的，但是您觉得这第2棒的话会有一个什么样的结果？
他是一个很好的 AM 车手，然后这个周末都开得不错，但是现在第2名是奔驰的车，所以我觉得任务比较艰巨吧，对他来说。
好的，谢谢林康，祝你好运。So Lin Kang just told us that he had a really good start actually in his stint, but unfortunately with the safety car coming out, he lost quite a lot of the lead that he had managed to build in the first few laps. And then after the safety car restart, and he got overtaken by a faster Ginetta behind him, and it took him a few laps to get back the position. That's why he didn't manage to bring back the car with a really good gap. Even though Lotte Ho, his co-driver, is a really good M driver and is really fast, but he's got a Mercedes AMG of Alex Fontana hunting him down. So yeah, he's got a tough job today. 好的，那接下来的时间我们转回到我们解说间 ，back to you guys.
And while we were hearing from Lin Kang there, an absolutely titanic duel at the front between his teammate Lotso, who's still keeping Alex Fontana behind him. The Swiss driver can't find a way through. Lotso defending fantastically well. Very difficult to overtake as they go through this curb-hopping section. 15 minutes to go. Fantastic racing at the front here. Lotso driving brilliantly well. trying to keep Alex Fontana behind. And still in the lead, the Hong Kong driver in the 86 KTM. Alex Fontana looking for a way through, but just can't find a way past the Hong Kong driver. Alex Fontana still in second place as they go through turn 18. Lots of drivers having difficulty with this yesterday, but nobody's come a cropper there today so far. Lo Taho still in the lead. Alex Fontana just behind him, but Lo Taho eking out a little bit of a gap there, and he will need that gap because Alex Fontana is likely to be faster on this start-finish straight. Lo Taho pulling out a little bit of a gap, 0.8 of a second now as they go over the line. Lo Taho, no need to go defensive. Alex Fontana flashing his lights there. You can see how much he's closing up. Is he going around the outside? No, he's not going. He's not taking as much of the escape road as he has on previous laps. On the previous lap, while we were hearing from Ling Kang, we saw Alex Fontana going up the inside, but of course, in doing so, he wasn't taking his favored outside line, and I wonder if that might have compromised him. Lo Taho still holding on to the lead. Alex Fontana around the outside, but can't find a way through. This is fantastic racing at the front here between Lo Taho and Alex Fontana. The Swiss driver looking for a way through. Looks as if he's the quicker driver. Certainly in clear air, he was pulling out 2 seconds a lap out of Lo Taho's lead, but he just can't fight. He just can't quite find a way past the Hong Kong driver. Lo Taho driving brilliantly well to keep Alex Fontana at bay at this stage of the race. The red KTM still in the lead. Alex Fontana looking up the inside. I don't think that was a real look there. I think he was just weaving, just trying to put Lo Taho off, trying to make his mirrors full of that Mercedes, trying to force Lo Taho maybe into making a mistake. Quite often in GT racing, you see drivers doing that, trying to force the other driver into a mistake. Has Lo Taho just run a little bit wide there? And I think Alex Fontana, has he got through there? They go side by side. And Lo Taho still ahead as they go through turn 18. Is he? Yes, that KTM very good around these corners. You can see Lo Taho carrying so much more speed as they go around that tricky right-hander at turn 18. And already you can see the gap that he's developed over this twisty section of the track as they go over the line to start lap 25. Let's go down to the pit lane now and hear from the drivers.
那么在我身旁的呢是来自5号车的魅影车队的谢安。那么就在我们采访的时候呢，我们看到谢安的队友 Alex Fontana 成功的超越了刚才领先的86号车的卢思豪。然后谢安跟我们讲一讲现在的心情吧。
对，非常高兴，因为今天我们的赛车表现的状况非常好。这个昨天车队我们有一些发生了一些碰撞，然后我们工程师非常辛苦，连夜修好了赛车。那么今天在发车的阶段，我们表现的算比较正常。后来我是从第8发车追到了第6位，但是并没有被领先的Pro 的车手被抛离。那么我们进站以后，把赛车交给了我的队友 Alex Fontana。那么就在刚才，Alex Fontana 已经从接手的第6名，现在已经超到了全场的第1，所以我现在非常的高兴，非常的兴奋。
好的，谢谢谢安，祝你们好运。So Chris just told us just as we were interviewing him, his teammate Alex Fontana managed to do the overtaking on the former leader Lo Taho. So it's a fantastic result for the team at the moment. So for the team as well, yesterday it was a bit of an contact. So the engineers and the team managed to fix the car overnight, and the car feels really good. He started from P8 and came back to the pit in P6, and Alex is doing a fantastic job bringing the car from P6 over to the lead. So yeah, best of luck to the team, and back to you guys. 然后接下来我们转回到我们解说间。
Well, we got a grandstand view there of Alex Fontana's teammates all whooping and cheering as he goes into the lead of this race, but Lo Taho still keeping him honest. Not the Swiss driver not pulling away as we might have expected. Lo Taho still very close behind as they go through the start-finish line to start lap 26. I think Fontana will just pull away a little bit. We've seen how much more grunt that Mercedes has on the straight. Yes, Fontana just pulling out a little bit of a gap there. Lo Taho not close enough, but the Hong Kong driver very quick around the tight, twisty section of the track, and you can see him there taking more of the escape road than he has on previous laps. So 10 minutes to go, and this race has absolutely whizzed by. Fantastic racing up and down the field today, and this battle for the lead really is the pick of the bunch. Lo Taho driving amazingly well to keep Alex Fontana in his sights. This is the battle for 4th place between Wang Hao and the other Mercedes. That is the number 6 car. being driven by Rainy He, another of the professional drivers, getting very, very close behind Wang Hao. And I wonder if he might get him here. Is he going for a look at the inside? You can see how much the car lilts to the front there as he brakes hard, and Rainy He passes Wang Hao up into 4th position. So Rainy He up into 4th place. Will Bamber in the number 22 Mercedes in 3rd position. We haven't seen too much of him because we've been so engrossed in the battle at the front. But Alex Fontana still in the lead. Lo Tzu-ho still in 2nd position. Will Bamber about 9 seconds behind in 3rd place, in a bit of a race on his own at the moment, Will Bamber. And then this is the battle for 4th place between Rainy He in the number 6 Mercedes and Wang Hao in the 999 car. That is the number 5 car. That's Alex Fontana just putting a lap on the number 3 Mercedes, and that's bad news for Lo Tzu-ho because he's now got that car between him and the car just going a little bit of weaving there. I don't think that was intentional, trying to slow Lo Tzu-ho down, but nevertheless, when you've got traffic to negotiate like that, it does slow you down somewhat, and Lo Tzu-ho losing out a little bit there. Alex Fontana pulling out a 1-second lead as they cross the line to start lap 27 with just about 9 minutes to go. Alex Fontana still in the lead of this race, a very experienced driver. Lo Tzu-ho still in 2nd place, still keeping Alex Fontana honest, just 1 second behind. We might have expected Alex Fontana to pull away from that KTM. Lo Tzu-ho, obviously the amateur driver, and that car slapped with 35 kilograms of success ballast as a result of finishing yesterday's race. Alex Fontana's number 5 Mercedes, no success ballast at all. They only finished 5th yesterday after a puncture towards the beginning of the race. So Lo Tzu-ho doing exceptionally well to stay on the coattails of Alex Fontana. And this race not done yet by any means. That is the number 6 car. Rainy He in 4th position now, some 14.8 seconds behind Will Bamber. You can see the timing screens on the left of your picture there. And Will Bamber some 9.4 seconds behind Lo Tzu-ho in 2nd position. And Will Bamber, well, Will Bamber actually a slower lap time than Lo Tzu-ho last time around. Lo Tzu-ho a 1:51.8, Will Bamber a 1:51.9. So Will Bamber, don't forget, has 50 kilograms of success ballast to contend with after winning yesterday's race. So perhaps that's hindering him in his fight to catch Lo Tzu-ho, the 2nd place man. And Lo Tzu-ho really doing very well indeed to hold on to 2nd place in the face of such stiff competition around him at the moment. Alex Fontana still leading the race. Lo Tzu-ho still in 2nd place. Will Bamber in 3rd. 4th is Rainy He. 5th is Wang Hao. 6th is Kenny Chung. And that is the 8th place car, the number 49, driven by James Tsai, who took over from the British driver Charlie Fagg early in the race. That is Dong Liang. We haven't seen too much of Dong Liang in the 2nd portion of the race. He was involved in some good battles in the 1st portion of the race. He was holding 4th place for quite some time, but slipped back a little bit now. And Dong Liang currently in 9th place. His last lap, a 1:55.6, compared with a 1:50.9 of Alex Fontana, the race leader, who's just starting to stretch his legs now. That gap, 1.7 seconds over Lo Tzu-ho. So pulled out 0.7 of a second over Lo Tzu-ho on that last lap, who is still lapping around about the same time as Will Bamber. Will Bamber still 9.4 seconds, making no inroads into Lo Tzu-ho. So Lo Tzu-ho looks fairly set for 2nd place at the moment, which would be a fantastic result for that car. We heard from Lin Kang, his teammate, how disappointed they were with the safety car, which had wiped out Lin Kang's lead. And indeed, you saw how that car, the 55 Ginetta, had overtaken Lin Kang when it was driven by Senan Fielding. His teammate Kenny Chung currently driving that car at the moment. He's some way behind Wang Hao, some 38 seconds behind, so it doesn't look as if Kenny Chung will be finishing any higher than 6th today, unless any of the drivers ahead have unexpected problems. And let's go down and hear more from the pit lane.
那在我身旁的呢是来自55号车的 K2C Motorsports 的 Senan Fielding. Senan, so really good chase in your first stint, and the safety car actually sort of work in your favor, I imagine.
Yes, it was. We knew it was going to be a challenge today, starting pretty much last. So we didn't really have any idea where we was going to be. We just thought, let's hope for the best, pick as many places off the start as we possibly could. we had a great race. We came through to second, but the KTM has a really good BOP for this weekend, so he's extremely strong, especially with it being so tight and twisty. The safety car helped us in one way to get closer to the KTM, but then also backed everybody else up closer behind me. And I knew with the pit stop, Kenny was going to have more of a challenge. So it was good to get into the lead before we had to come into the pits, but obviously now the tyres are starting to degrade quite a bit, so we've dropped down the field a little bit, but he's doing a great job at the moment.
Okay, thanks, Shannon, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. 然后刚才Shannon也跟我们说呢，就是他的第一棒的话，其实也是追回了很多的位置。他们从比较靠后的位置发车，最后是以第2的身份带回。然后安全车呢，其实帮助了这个55号赛车能够接近前面的领跑的86号车，但是也是他也和这个86号的林康有一个非常激烈的争夺。最后的话，但是其实也是因为安全车的出现，所有的赛车的距离都很近，所以说他的队友 Kenny 的话，就是他的一些优势的话也是损失了。最后的话，现在的轮胎的性能的话也是稍微有一些下滑，所以说 Kenny 的话也有一些很艰难的一个任务，然后在他的面前摆着。那好，接下来的时间我们转回到我们的解说间 ，Back to you guys.
Well, while we heard from Shannon Fielding there, we saw his teammate Kenny Chung involved in an absolutely titanic battle for 6th position with the 87 KTM of Wei Tianyi. Wei Tianyi getting by, a little bit of wheel banging, but then Kenny Chung retaking that position. And this is really the closest on-track battle at the moment. You see Wei Tianyi going to the inside, Kenny Chung on the outside there. And Wei Tianyi, does he get through? He takes that position. Has he held it? And it looks like Wei Tianyi, yes, up into 6th position. So Kenny Chung down into 7th place. His teammate Shannon Fielding talking earlier about how the tyres are starting to degrade, and that Ginetta slipping back now. Shannon Fielding had been leading in the early stages of the race. Kenny Chung now down into 7th place and dropping back seemingly a little bit from the 87 KTM driven by Wei Tianyi. 3 minutes to go in this race. It's absolutely whizzed by. Fantastic racing here in the GT4 category as Wei Tianyi goes through the left-hander there. In 6th position, Kenny Chung in 7th place. It looks as if Wei Tianyi has just managed to hold on to that, but Kenny Chung not giving up just yet. The Hong Kong driver still looking for a way through, and we've seen how much quicker the Ginetta is than the KTM on those straights. So if Kenny Chung can get in a good position coming out of the final corner, he may have a chance of trying to go for that position again. Meanwhile, this is Alex Fontana, still leading the race, just putting a lap on the 868 McLaren, being driven by Lei Ke now, and that is in 10th position. Alex Fontana hopping up on the curves. And Lo Tse-ho there, the 86 KTM, still in 2nd place. About 3 seconds behind Alex Fontana now, losing some 7/10 of a second per lap, but still maintaining a very good pace, and in fact, extending his lead over Will Bamber in 3rd position. The gap now just over 10 seconds between 2nd and 3rd places as we look at the 87 KTM. That is Wei Tianyi in 3rd position. That is Will Bamber in a fairly lonely 3rd place. Will Bamber not making any inroads into Lo Tse-ho in 2nd place. He's some 10 seconds behind, but some 17 seconds in front of the 999 car of Wang Hao, and that is in 4th position, excuse me. He is ahead of the number 6 car being driven by Rainy He, the other Mercedes. Meanwhile, Lo Tse-ho just putting a lap on the 868 McLaren himself. A tremendous drive from Lo Tse-ho. Certainly my driver of the day. To be so close to Alex Fontana for so many laps and to hold him at bay, to hold a professional driver at bay, and to be so far ahead of another professional driver, Will Bamber, who you just saw in the back of your picture there. Lo Tse-ho really has driven tremendously well indeed in this 2nd portion of the race. But Alex Fontana, there is your race leader. Pulled out a little bit of a gap now to Lo Tse-ho, who lost a bit of time on that last lap, a 1:53.9 compared with a 1:51.8 for Alex Fontana. And I should think the leading duo just winding things down a little bit in this final lap. This is the final lap, only 30 seconds of the race to go, and we'll see the checkered flag coming round. Then Alex Fontana comes around the start-finish line next time. As they go through the curves, you can see just how much curb Lo Tse-ho still taking, still pushing, even though the race all but over now. Alex Fontana just coming through. The left-hander, Lo Tse-ho following him in second position. The clock ticking down to 0 now as they come through. Lo Tse-ho into the tight turn 18, the left-hander. Meanwhile, Alex Fontana, after disappointment yesterday with that puncture in the early stages of the race, meant they could only finish 5th. No such problems today for Alex Fontana and his teammate Chris Chia, and the number 5 Mercedes crosses the line to win round 4 of the 2019 China GT Championship in Ningbo in the GT4 category. Lo Tse-ho in the 86 car coming across in second position. A fantastic result for him and teammate Lin Kang. Will Bamba coming through there in third place. So the number 22 Mercedes that won yesterday's race has to settle for third place today. In fourth position at the moment is the number 6 car of Rainy He and Sunny Wong. There it is in the back of your screen there, the number 3 car. That is finishing 1 lap down in 10th position. So in fourth place, Rainy He and Sunny Wong in the Mercedes. Fifth is Wang Hao, who finished third yesterday. So a very solid weekend's work for Wang Hao. Third and fifth place for the 999 BMW. Wang Hao driving that car all on his own. And then a bit of a gap before the 87 KTM. As you see the cars there on their victory lap, Alex Fontana just ahead of Lo Tse-ho. Those two had an absolutely fantastic duel for the lead, lasting several laps before Alex Fontana finally got by Lo Tse-ho and then eventually settled into a comfortable win. But Lo Tse-ho really keeping the Swiss driver honest for several laps. Fantastic racing between those two. And Will Bamba ultimately finishing in a rather lonely third place. There is Alex Fontana on his victory lap. And a very satisfying afternoon or morning's work for Alex Fontana and Chris Chia. You heard just how delighted the mechanics were when we were interviewing Chris Chia when they saw Alex Fontana overtake. Chris Chia, of course, the team boss as well as driver, so he's got 2 hats to wear. And I should think he'll be very happy with how his team performed today, the Phantom Pro Racing team. A new entrant into China GT for 2019. A lovely morning here at Ningbo, no danger of any rain. It does sometimes rain very hard in this part of China, but we've been blessed with some fantastic weather so far this weekend. No sign of any rain. And it looks like the bright sunshine will continue for this afternoon's race when we have GT3, GTC and the One Make Porsche Trophy for you. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully more fantastic racing here at Ningbo. But this morning, it's all about that car. Well, not that one. It's all about the number 5 Phantom Pro Racing Mercedes. There it is, driven by Alex Fontana and Chris Chia. We'll see the Swiss driver come out now to no doubt receive the adulation of his team. There he is. That is Will Bamba parking up the third place car, the number 22. Alex Fontana coming out there, delighted with his morning's work. His teammates there, or his mechanics, waiting to salute him and congratulate him. There is Will Bamba about to step out of his car and be congratulated by his team, Peter Liao, or Liao Yang as he is also known. And we'll hear from the top 3 drivers very shortly. Be very interested to see exactly what Alex Fontana and Chris Chia have to say after a disappointing race yesterday. They've certainly atoned for that disappointment today with a victory. In second place, Lin Kang and Lo Tse-ho, a very impressive performance in their own right. So a brace of second places in Ningbo for Lin Kang and Lo Tse-ho. They also finished second in yesterday's race. That meant they had to take 35 kilograms of success ballast, and that really won't have helped the top-end speed at all on that KTM. So Lin Kang and Lo Tse-ho, a fantastic result to finish second today. There is Lo Tse-ho, just taking his helmet and his balaclava off. And Alex Fontana there, the Swiss driver, winning round 4 of the 2019 GT4 China GT season. We'll hopefully hear from him soon. There is Chris Chia, his co-driver and his team boss. You see there the very striking design on that KTM. Nice to see some handshakes all round between the fellow competitors. Good sportsmanship here at the China GT Championship. Lots of good racing, lots of close, hard racing, but nobody overstepping the mark. And that's what we like to see. Very hot out there today. You see Lo Ziho just wiping his face. Lots of these drivers have the cooling suit on. You sometimes see some wires dangling from the race suit, and that helps the drivers keep cool in the warm conditions. And we shall hear from the race winners very shortly indeed. Let's go down to Parc Fermé and hear from them now.
恭喜站在我身旁的今天的 GT4 组别的冠军，来自5号车魅影车队的谢安和 Alex Fontana。谢安从第8到第1，在经历了昨天的一些小的不顺利以后，今天又获得了冠军的位置，心情如何？
对，我们现在肯定是非常的兴奋和非常的高兴。因为我们今天发车一般般，然后在头2圈的混战当中，我们可以保住自己的赛车，然后我是从第8上升到了第6，并且没有被领先的这些车主甩开。然后在维修区通道开放了以后，我就把赛车交给了我的队友。我始终对我的队友非常有信心，我相信他可以做到最好，很高兴他也做到了。
好的，谢谢谢安。So Chris just told us it was a very difficult start to the weekend, but it's fantastic to be ending up on P1 today. And for him, the start wasn't spectacular, but he managed to get from P8 to P6, and without losing too much to the lead pack. And he's always had a lot of faith in teammate Alex Fontana, and obviously Alex has done a fantastic job in his second stint.
Thank you very much. I think it was a very good race, but everything started thanks to Chris because the first few laps were quite difficult, a lot of overtakes. It was facing cars with similar pace, and he kept it out of trouble. He did also a lot of nice moves, and in the end is what we wanted, to keep the car safe until the last half an hour and possibly gaining some positions, which he did. He also did his best lap of the weekend during the race, so I think that is what we wanted to see. And for my stint, it was good. I knew I had a good car to carry until the end, despite the tires were starting to get quite old. The KTM guys did a fantastic job. They were very fast. We had a nice fight. I didn't want it to race too much because we had a lot of time to fight, and in the end we prevailed. So I need to thank the team for a fantastic car for the second weekend in a row.
Thank you and congratulations. 然后 Alex 刚才也告诉我们，然后谢安的话第1棒也是跑得非常的出色，在前2圈的时候能够避免发车的这个混战，然后还能够获得一些位置，最后能够以一个很好的一个很好的一个距离能够带回来，然后给他第2棒有一个很好的机会。虽然说轮胎的性能有一些下滑，但是他最后能够与旁边的 KTM 的赛车能够有一个很好的比拼，最后能够取得胜利。这个整个周末非常感谢魅影车队的所有的成员给大家的支持。好的，那接下来的话，我们等一下将会给第2名的车组进行一个采访。Okay, next up, we're going to interview the second place KTM drivers. Back to you guys.
Well, very nice of Alex Fontana to pay tribute to the performance of Chris Cheer in the early portion of the race. Chris Cheer, we saw embroiled in some good battles with some of the other drivers there. And when you have the Pro-Am driver pairing like that, and you have the Pro driver going second, if the Am driver can make some good time and make some good positions in the early portion of the race, it can set up the Pro driver very nicely for a good run in the second portion of the race. And that's exactly what happened there. So a fantastic victory for the number 5 car of Alex Fontana and Chris Cheer. Chris Cheer, of course, the team boss there, as well as the second driver, laying some good foundations for Alex Fontana to stroke it home. And let's hear from the second place drivers now.
首先，恭喜2位在我身旁的林康和卢思豪，来自 KTM 的 Extreme Motorsport 86号的车组。首先从林康开始吧，今天是跑的第1棒，然后有一个安全车的情况，然后但是今天的话，最后能够以第2的身份带回，整体来讲的话，感觉还怎么样呢？
和昨天一样，没有拿到冠军，比较遗憾吧。今天的比赛，我们的比赛被安全车给毁了。我本来已经领先很多了。 这样给我队友来说会比较轻松一些。这样，因为有个安全车，所以我进站的时候只有2秒的优势。然后奔驰换上了 Pro 车手，所以我们没有办法拿下第1名。
好的，然后呢，我们卢思豪的话，今天的话的第2棒也是和这个后边的 Alex， 然后有一个很激烈的一个争夺，然后对我们评价一下您这1棒的表现吧。
首先也要恭喜那个 Phantom Pro 的车队，他们今天的策略也很好。然后我们车队也把车准备得很好，然后我们车昨天有一个35公斤的炸重嘛。然后今天车开起来就不一样，要保护轮胎比较辛苦，然后一直在努力在防Alex， 但是最后还是给他敲到了，因为其中他是 Pro 的车手嘛，但是很高兴可以跟他有一个挺不错的比赛，然后也恭喜我们车队，对。
非常感谢。So Lincoln just told us that it's a little bit disappointing to not finishing on the top step of the podium, starting from pole, just like yesterday. But he did his best in his first stint, and then even though the safety car has diminished his lead in his stint, but teammate Lo Tae-ho did a really good job in the second stint. And Tae-ho just told us that because the car has 35 kilogram success ballast from today, so it was a little bit harder to keep the tires on the great condition, and it was a really good battle with Alex Fontana in the second half of the race. And congratulations to the Phantom Pro driving duo, and then it was a good results for the team overall over this weekend. 好的，我们再次恭喜今天获得亚军的2位车手。然后接下来的时间，我们转回到我们的解说间 ，back to our commentators.
Well, a little bit unfortunate there for the 86 car that the lead was wiped out by the safety car, as we heard Lin Kang talking about there. But nice of him again to pay tribute to his co-driver Lo Tae-ho, who drove a splendid stint in the second portion of the race, leading for a lot of it, and then ultimately giving best to Alex Fontana. There we see confirmation of the results. The number 5 Phantom Pro Racing Mercedes of Alex Fontana and Chris Chia winning the race. In second place, the 86 car of Lin Kang and Lo Tae-ho. In third place, the D2 Racing 22 car of Will Bamba and Peter Liao. In fourth position, the number 6, the second Phantom Pro Racing car of Rainy He and Sunny Wong. Fifth position, Wang Hao in the Team Master Champ BMW. In sixth place, the 87, the second Extreme Motorsports KTM, and that car driven by Liu Kai and Wei Tianyi. Seventh was Kenny Chung and Senan Fielding, and all the rest there. You see in 11th place, the 618 Aston Martin of Yves Volt and David Pan. They'll be disappointed with that. We saw that car touring early on in the race. Some sort of issue there, and they got going again, but ultimately, unfortunately, it wasn't enough for Yves Volt to pull back the time lost. That car down in 11th place. And a very disappointing result for the 51 BMW of Oscar Lee and Yuan Hao Yao, unable to take the start. Let's take a look at some of the highlights of this morning's GT4 race. Nice to see so many people here. A lovely day in Ningbo for some racing and lots of action on the grid there. At the start, the 86 car of Lin Kang holding that pole position into the first corner. Not too much in the way of incident. The 49 McLaren making up some good positions from 10th on the grid to be 6th by these opening 2 series of corners, but the 86 car pulling out a big lead there. Some good scrapes in the early portion of the race. You see the green McLaren there, the 49 car, the Ginetta there, the 55, and Dong Liang in the 570, the white McLaren at the front of that pack. Those cars went at it hammer and tongs for a good few laps before Charlie Fagg went up into 3rd position. The 87 car there being overtaken by the 868 McLaren. Lots of kerr popping there. Those 2 cars, the Mercedes and the KTM, had a little bit of bumper-to-bumper action there, getting a little bit too close for comfort as the 868 McLaren goes inside the Mercedes, as the spectators in the pit lane and the pit crew watch on. Lots of people taking that wide line across turn 2 and turn 3. That was the 618 Aston Martin losing a few places. The 619 car there losing power, and that brought out the safety car, and that was bad news for the KTM of Lin Kang, because just after the safety car restart, there you see Senan Fielding in the white Ginetta going through up the inside. Lin Kang helpless to do anything about that. The Ginetta with much more top-end speed. Lin Kang going around the outside, but unable to hold off Senan Fielding. He was to hold that Lin Kang going around the outside and then briefly taking the lead again. And then, of course, we had the mandatory pit stops. There we see Evolt going in for his stint. The 86 car of Lo Tzu-ho coming out, and that was the prelude to an epic performance as we saw Kenny Chung losing it at the left-hander, the last corner, but he managed to get going again without any serious lasting damage. And this was the battle of the race. Lo Tzu-ho in the KTM and Alex Fontana in the number 5 Mercedes, a titanic duel for several laps. It looked as if Alex Fontana was going to make it through, but Lo Tzu-ho made it very difficult for him, and that KTM very quick in the corners. Alex Fontana struggling to get by, but eventually going through the superior grunt of that Mercedes, allowing him to pull away and then cruising ultimately to an easy win. Lo Tzu-ho keeping him honest to the end though, only 3 or so seconds behind. Alex Fontana taking the spoils at the end of the race. He and his teammate and team boss Chris Chia, there they are, very happy with their morning's work.
大家好，
Indeed.
欢迎您来到2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛 GT4 组第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GT4 Class at the Round 2 of China GT Championship 2019 in Ningbo. 首先，让我们有请本场的冠军车队，来自于 Phantom Pro Racing， 有请。 有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 D2 车队 Will Bumber 和廖阳。The second runner-up goes to from D2 Racing Will Bumber and Liao Yang. 有请本场第2名车手组合，来自于 Extreme Motorsport 林康和卢思豪。The runner-up goes to from Extreme Motorsport 林康 and Lu Siho. 有请本场冠军车手组合，来自于 Phantom Pro Racing Alex Fontana 和谢安。The champion goes to from Phantom Pro Racing Alex Fontana and Chris Chia. 让我们欢迎本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于中国汽车摩托车运动联合会运动专职副主席何建东先生。Let's welcome our president to Edward Top Race Regatters, Vice President of China Automobile and Motorcycle Sports Federation 何建东。 好的，那请我们的颁奖嘉宾留在台前，与我们的获奖车手合影留念。好，谢谢我们的颁奖嘉宾何建东先生。那么留给我们车手的是香槟的时间。 Now is the champagne time! 那么接下来我们将继续为您颁发的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛宁波站 GT4 Pro M 组第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GT4 Pro M Class at the Round 2 of China GT Championship in Ningbo。让我们有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 D2 车队 William Bamber 和廖阳。The second runner-up goes to from D2 Racing William Bamber and Liao Yang。有请本场第2名车手组合，来自于 Extreme Motorsport 林康和卢思豪。The runner-up goes to from Fountain Pro Racing Alex Fontana and Chris Cha。好，欢迎本场的冠军车手组合。有请我们的颁奖嘉宾，来自上海市汽车摩托车协会秘书长王真勇先生。Let's welcome our president to the award top 3 place getters from Secretary General of Shanghai Automobile and Motorsport Association, Mr. Wang Zhenyong。那么，请我们的颁奖嘉宾留在台前，与我们的获奖车手合影留念。好，谢谢我们的颁奖嘉宾王振勇先生。那现在留给我们车手的是香槟的时间。Now is the champagne time.
不要拍眼睛啊！
好，那么接下来我们将继续为您颁发的是2019赛季中国超级跑车锦标赛宁波站 GT4 绅士组的第2回合的颁奖仪式。Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podium ceremony of GT4 AM Class at the Round 2 of China GT Championship 2019 in Ningbo。首先，让我们有请本场的第3名车手组合，来自于 The Winning Team 董亮。The second run-up goes to from the winning team 董亮。有请本场第2名车手组合，来自于 Extreme Motorsport 刘凯和魏天一。The runner-up goes to from Extreme Motorsport 刘凯 and 魏天一。有请本场的冠军车手来自于 Team Master Cham 汪浩。The champion goes to from Team Master Cham 汪浩。有请我们本场的颁奖嘉宾，来自于北京珠穆朗玛移动通讯有限公司总裁 周家先生。Let's welcome our prisoner to the award top 3 place getters from Vice Chairman of Beijing Everest Mobile Communication Companies, Mr. Zhou Jia. 好，请我们的颁奖嘉宾留在台前，与我们的获奖车手合影留念。好，谢谢我们的颁奖嘉宾周家先生，谢谢。恭喜我们的获奖车手。好，谢谢我们的颁奖嘉宾。那现在留给我们车手的香槟的时间。